All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve, Coach Steve, the Affordable Life Coach. Been coaching for going on 15 years. It's my full-time job. And I am just starting to do some live streams. Let me just adjust the lighting a little bit here. And today's topic, well, let's see if anybody jumps on. It's probably not because small channel and people aren't used to me live streaming. I had my first live stream this morning, so if you're interested, check it out. And let's see how that works. Okay. So today I wanted to talk about self-help, self-development, burnout. And it was probably a silent epidemic that, fix my collar here. Silent epidemic that most people aren't even aware that they struggle with because we're so oversaturated with self-development that it's just become normalized that we are constantly being fed with self-improvement ideology, ideas, and things that make us feel not very good about ourselves. And it's disheartening. By the way, I do life coaching. So if you're interested, the consultation is free. My email's in the description, and the prices afterwards are ridiculously affordable. So having said that, the self-help industry, oh, it's got to be $1 billion industry. I don't even know how much it makes, but it is very profitable. Obviously, I am in that industry. I like to think that thanks, Harry. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Can you hear me okay? So I like to think I bring something different to the table, and hopefully my clients feel the same way. All right, thank you. And so with self-help and self-development, the underlying message that we are given is that we are not good enough, that we're broken, that we're damaged, that we need to be fixed, or we need to strive to some unrealistic expectation of who we're supposed to be. And that comes up so regularly when I'm coaching clients. People always are coming to coaching or to their self-development journey like, I am not good enough and I need to change this, and this about myself in order to feel like I've arrived, or in order to feel confident, in order to feel good about myself. And it's really disheartening. And oftentimes, self-help, whether it's the YouTube videos, the TikToks, the books, the audiobooks, the gurus, like, it's just, we're constantly surrounded by it, and then you add advertisers. It is very profitable to make ourselves feel like we are not good enough, and it's very discouraging. Harry, if you have any comments, feel free to jump in. Any questions, anything you'd like to contribute to the live stream, and thanks for hanging in there. So one of the most important things when I'm coaching someone is to focus on the deep inner work, because we can't get off the self-help treadmill without doing the deep inner work. And I know that sounds like a cliche. What does that even mean, to do deep inner work? It's really not complicated. It's, in simple terms, it's learning how to be content with what you have, being satisfied with and okay with who you are. Not that you don't want to grow and improve and become incrementally better version of yourself, but it's making peace with who you are, and it's a form of self-acceptance. The term self-esteem gets batted around a lot, and we're all striving to supposedly thank you, Harry. I appreciate your feedback, your stamp of approval. So, and we are a bit lost. And when I'm coaching people and when I'm coaching my clients, one of the places to get to is to stop deceiving ourselves, stop for them deceiving themselves. And I really try to shine a light on that and saying, we want to be this person and we set the bar really high and we're always falling short. And it's not intuitive to us that we just either lower the bar and accept that we cannot be the person that we want to be, that we're filled with flaws, limitations, shortcomings, failures, and we're never going to be good enough in our own eyes. It's rare that I'm coaching a client or just even talking to someone that says, you know what, I'm content with who I am. In fact, one of the things that I really admire when I'm coaching clients is I'll give them coaching feedback and they're not BSing me, they're not lying to themselves. And they'll say things like, okay, here's the problem, Steve. And they'll say, okay, well, this is something that you could do to solve that problem. Here's something you could do that would really help you move up to the next level in income or meet the right partner for yourself or improve your physical appearance, your health. And they will say to me, this is rare, but I've had clients say, Steve, you know what? That's a great idea, but I'm not going to do that. I'm like, what? So that's incredible. Because most clients will say yes. They tell themselves, they'll tell me yes, that I'm going to do it. And then they never follow through. And it's so refreshing when we're actually honest with ourselves and honest with other people and stop playing the game of, oh, come on. Let's see here. Okay. Stop playing the game of trying to be somebody that we are not. I think it looks like we have 5 people watching. If other people can comment, it makes the video and the live stream much more engaging instead of me just making another typical video. So please just chime in. Anything you want to say, any comments uh, would be very helpful. And it's so refreshing that people who self-accept who they are, even when they have pretty serious character flaws. Or, I have one client who does not keep his word to other people, to himself. And he'll complain about the consequences of it and the anxiety it causes him. And I'm like, oh, that's something that I really focus on in coaching is helping people keep being a man or woman of their word. And he says, no, I'm not going to do that. That's just not me. I'm not going to change who I am. And I'm going to continue to break my word. I was like, wonderful. Thank you for being honest, but also make peace and accept the consequences of what that entails by not keeping your word. And a lot of people, what we want to do, it's human nature. We want to not make the sacrifice because making a change is a lot of work, takes a lot of effort. And we don't want to make the sacrifice of changing ourselves, but we want to complain about the consequences of not changing. And it's just crazy to be stuck in that cycle because it creates perpetual dissatisfaction. And we feel like we falsely believe that if we are dissatisfied, we will somehow be motivated to improve ourselves, to change ourselves, that we need to not like ourselves or to beat ourselves up in order to grow or evolve. And it's just madness. And we can't understand why we don't like who we are when we're not present, we're not honest and authentic with other people. And it's just a sad way to live. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize was when they start coaching with me, because when I first started coaching, it was about goals and habits, and I was like, okay, let's make this happen, almost like a professional sports coach. Okay, here's the goal, here's what needs to be done, I'm going to hold you accountable, and we're going to kind of muscle through this, and we're going to make this happen. But if you don't have that spark and that fire within, you can't. No book, no life coach, no app, no system is going to be able to override our resistance to change. Human beings, they're comfort creatures. They comfort seeking creatures. We love comfort. We love ease. And we just don't want to rock the boat and put too much effort into making change. And unfortunately, that leaves us in a state of like perpetual discontentment. Thank you, Harry. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's what I try to focus on in coaching sessions is contentment, is inner peace, is an inner calm, is non-reactive approach to what life throws at us, and to spend more time on our spiritual selves, our psychological, emotional self. Because if you work from inside out, as I say in my other videos, like your life starts falling into place. And most people are just working outside in and spending so much energy and effort trying to change the world around them and doing minimal work on what's within themselves. And that is just something that gives you your power back. You are more capable of focusing on things that are within your control, and doing that deep inner work, and having someone that's going to challenge you, because we just lie to ourselves all the time, is really alters the trajectory of our lives. Thank you. If we could get a little more participation, Quentin, thanks for uh, thank you for your comment. Hold on, let me just read it. Do you think there are too many life coaches, self-help gurus? I mean, that's a real subjective opinion. I don't even know. I don't know what the data is. I don't know how many life coaches or gurus there are. I think there's a lot of ones that are not even life coaches and gurus. I think there's a lot of people that are professionals that have letters before their name, and they're not helping people, and it's just a very, very cookie cutter way of, like, the industry has become, where it's more about making a profit, making money, diagnosing people with and labeling them with all kinds of mental health disorders. There's a great book on this topic. It's called Saving Normal. And I think it was a psychiatrist who wrote the book, and he talked about the net just growing wider and wider of what is considered abnormal or dysfunctional behavior that goes in the DSM, the book that diagnoses all the mental health disorders. And it just each year it grows larger and larger, and it's pathologizes oftentimes what is normal behavior. Like, we're human beings, we're flawed, and it's perfectly okay to feel anxiety and social anxiety or whatever type of anxiety. and not need to take a pill in order to fix it, and to instead do things. Obviously, consult with your doctor first, but I'm saying like the first solution should be doing things that make us uncomfortable, that build confidence and give us the feeling that we were capable of confronting things that scare us. Because as at my earlier live stream this morning, we've just addicted to comfort. So back to your question, I think a lot of people that get involved in this industry get involved to because they're a mess and because they're trying to fix themselves. And I went through my own self-development journey, and that's what was a big inspiration to see my evolution, to see my growth, and to heal some of the things that I struggled with. So, like anything, I think things become a type of groupthink where people in a certain industry all start believing this and teaching the same type of things. So I think that it's more about, to answer your question, it's more about quality and not quantity. I don't think quantity is the problem. I think it's the quality that's the problem. Um, Thank you. Thank you, Five Horizons, and thank you for your kind words. So Harry has another question. You told me about the monks that spent hours and hours doing nothing, complete contentment. It took me years to understand it. I was. Thanks for sharing that, Harry. I was reading something today about ideas that are that we receive, that we might read about, someone might share with us, and learning and growth takes time. And what I've noticed with myself and with some clients, we're just not ready to receive the message, but the seed has been planted. And sometimes we can feel like we're a failure because, like Harry said, it took him a while to realize it. That's what happens. That's just human nature. And we just, the soil is not ready. First, maybe the seed has been planted and it needs to grow deep roots. And I've had clients, and I've had people watching the YouTube, my YouTube channel. I think it's been about 17 years. That I've had clients that have stopped coaching, and then 2 years later, they will email me and say, "Oh my gosh, I got it now. Like that makes sense. I couldn't get what you were saying." It was almost like speaking a foreign language. And it's just being patient with ourselves and understanding that, hey, we might not be ready to receive what I'm sharing, or what things that you might be reading. And it doesn't mean that we're lacking, or we're not good enough, or we're damaged, or we're broken. It's just making peace with who you are. Like, we're so flawed. And it's something that makes us interesting, unique, quirky, and beautiful. When I was younger in school, I was always a black sheep, and I always tried to. I was always the eccentric one. I always just didn't fit in. I would have to put a lot of effort in trying to fit in, and that was a mistake because I would try to conform and fit in. I would try to adopt ways of being. I have a relatively new client, and he says, I don't. He's in his mid-20s. I don't even know. He says, I don't know who I am. And because we're so busy trying to be someone we're not, or someone else, or what the culture says, or what the masculine influencers say, or the pickup culture, we've lost touch with what makes us human and what makes us unique. And so we just wear a mask and put on a persona. And I did that. And I just didn't feel good about who I was. And people would always say, "Oh, you're weird, you're odd, you're different, you're eccentric. Why can't you just, be normal. I heard that a lot. And I took it not knowing, I took it as like, wow, something's wrong with me. And then until I started my own self development journey, I realized that this is what makes us unique and special and gives us the ability to connect with other unique and special people and to offer a gift to the world. Now, whatever form, some people it's art. For me, it's life coaching and making these videos. Some people it's playing music. Some people it's just working a regular job. And there's one I go to Whole Foods sometimes, and there's a Whole Foods, and every time I go in this guy's line, he has something. He's just an oddball, the cashier. He has something unique to say, and he will engage, provoke a whole conversation just by what I'm buying, and not in a superficial, shallow way. Like he really cares, and he's very connected with his customers, and he brightens their day. And I listen to the people that are ahead of him, and they give him, uh, they engage with him. And I think just it could be something as simple with that as that of being able to connect with another person and lift their spirits up just a little bit. And so it's we don't have to do anything grandiose. I think oftentimes we think, I get, especially my male clients in their 20s, they talk about Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or being a millionaire. Like, oh man, like I say this in my videos as well. You're going to hear some repetition here, but nobody's called me to do coaching and tell me, you know what? I want to be like my next door neighbor who keeps his lawn and his front yard tidy, mowed, is always gives a warm smile and a friendly greeting, is always waiting at the door when his kids come home from school with a hug, that treats his wife very lovingly and kind. And you could just tell by the way she looks at him, she's in love with him, that is always willing to help out a neighbor, drives an older beat up car, but still runs. Like nobody comes to coaching, or I just don't meet people in general that say, that's who I want to be, sitting on sitting on his front porch, drinking lemonade, reading a good book. It's everything. Our society and culture has conditioned us to seek out way something completely unrealistic that just a few people at the top of the pyramid are ever able to achieve. And imagine spending 5, 10, or decades of your life or all your life. I get clients in their 60s and who have realized, oh my gosh, I've been living my life based on the wrong values, chasing the wrong things. And it's just so simple how little it takes to be content, and what we idolize and what our role models are set us up to be unhappy, to be depressed, to be stressed, to be anxious. Yeah, and it's just very powerful to, when I'm coaching someone, to help them realize, stop chasing external things. Turn off your screens. Go out for walks. Connect with people face to face. Read a good book. Explore a hobby. It's really about a lifestyle. The lifestyle is so important. So, okay, let's see what you have to say about that. Yeah, the comment, Harry, about the monks. Monks, it's almost another form. I used to look up to monks when I went to Thailand, and I would talk to monks and listen, to what they had to say, and especially the ones that would spend like on a monastery, time at a monastery, or years at a monastery in silence and just extreme minimalism and like this aesthetic lifestyle. I used to look up at that and I go, well, that's just another form of escapism. Like it is much more challenging and much more real to be use the world that we live in with all the chaos and the drama and the political divisiveness and the inconsiderate people. It's much, and the coworkers and the bosses that treat us poorly, or people that cut us off in traffic. That to me is the greatest practice for spiritual growth and for our self-development. It's a much easier, in my opinion, just to isolate yourself. And a lot of people do that. They might even live in a city and they isolate themselves from social connections by staring at a screen. And I'm a high level introvert, and that's something I can improve upon in my life, expanding my social network. But we do need other people, even introverts, and we need real, authentic, meaningful connections with other people, not just the shallow, superficial, small talk ones. Like real, like, where you get energy being with this person. Even as an introvert, it's rare, but sometimes I talk to people and there's just something unique and special about them, and they have a depth, and that just energizes me. And that's what life's about. It's about connections and experiences. Let me go to the next question here, or comment. Have you ever faced a plateau in your spiritual personal growth journey where progress felt stagnant or unclear? If so, what strategies or mindset shifts helped you move through it? Such a great question. And absolutely. I'm recently going through one, hence the title of this live stream. It's sometimes we just need to unplug and just take a break, because so much of our life is on autopilot. It's like the day to day, today is going to be just like yesterday, and tomorrow's going to be just like today. The predictability, there's something about in the human spirit that craves adventure, that craves something new, that craves challenges. And it can be kind of robotic and monotonous. And there are times when, like, I just can't even read another self-development book or watch another self-development video. And I just need to unplug and reset, and taking some time off work, spending time in nature. Those are all good things. But to me, the most important thing is when you do those things, like taking a vacation. Yeah, the vacation's wonderful, but it's a 2-week vacation, and then you come back to the same lifestyle, the same environment, and then those old demons rear their ugly head again. And so for me, the most important thing is my spiritual life, my relationship with God, my prayer life, my Bible studies. And I know a lot of people watching this live stream, or who are going to watch the live stream, are agnostic atheists. I was in that boat as well. And I just started realizing how unfulfilling life is. And reading the Bible and having a close relationship with God, and having the guidance of the Holy Spirit, God living within me, it's hard to go back to self-help and self-development books, because it's on a whole nother level. It's living, it's breathing, it's exciting, and it's infuses our lives with purpose. It infuses our lives with things that we couldn't achieve on our own. Courage, boldness, contentment, joy, humility, humbleness, recognizing that we are fallen human beings and that we are sinners in need of a savior. So I had to go through a lot of different paths in order to where I arrived. And for me, Christianity, there's nothing else like it. And sadly, it's the first thing that people will discount. Everyone will be open to all the other religions, Buddhism, Islam, it's a lot of the New Age religions as well. But when you talk about Christianity, it's like, no, I don't want that. But people just don't know what they haven't explored, and they haven't opened their mind, and they have self-limiting beliefs like, oh, Christians are hypocrites, or Christians, persecuted people, or whatever it is, or it's toxic. And what the Bible teaches is toxic masculinity or misogyny. Like, people just don't know what they're talking about, unfortunately. And it's hard to read the Bible or to understand when we are looking at it as just another book, or when we don't have an open heart for God to soften the hardness of our hearts. So, yeah, I know that was probably a long-winded answer to your question, but it is important to do, for me, a spiritual reset. And then what I was saying, and so you come back to your life, you come back to a lifestyle that is burnout proof. It's like you're preventing it because of the lifestyle that you have. And so for me, it's not about chasing money. It's about spending a lot of time. I love walking, so spending time not listening to anything, not distracting myself, spending time with myself and listening to the Holy Spirit's guidance. Or for some people, they might say it's the intuition, but it's really connecting with yourself. A big part of our burnout is we're just overloaded with information. We're overstimulated, and our brains desperately need a break, desperately need quiet time to recharge, replug, reflect, and figure out what path our lives should go on, what our next step should be. It's like connecting with God, or that higher, with God. I'm going to say a higher power. Sounds a little too new agey. Connecting with God and like getting that guidance, and it relieves a burden off of your shoulders, because it's not you that is having to make every decision. What should I do here? How is this going to work out? Is it not going to work out? What if I get fired? What if this person doesn't like me? Like, the Bible's filled with promises that God will take care of his children, and that brings great comfort. All right, let me go to the next question. Love your work, Steve. In what way does morality ethics inform your philosophy? For instance, what if a person reaches a state of contentment by killing others and or committing other unethical acts? Well, I think I kind of answered that question. I mean, it's a very interesting question. I think I answered that like more. If we so each decade, church attendance has gone down and down and down, and we see the moral decay of our culture, of our society. And even if people were not Christians, they, especially in the United States, it was founded on Christian religion and Christian principles. And it has a ripple effect of benefiting society as a whole. And when there is no higher moral distinction of what is right and wrong, then it's just up to the individual. And so if someone is going to say, hey, this, stealing stuff makes me feel content. Well, if there's not a higher power, we are all just left to, we're all our own gods. We all make our own distinctions of what is right and wrong. And we all become it's moral subjectivity. What one person thinks is right, another person might think is wrong, and vice versa. And it's just a slow erosion. I think things haven't totally collapsed, because there is still that Christian spiritual foundation of what the country was founded upon. And so I would answer that in saying, no, if it goes against what God has laid down in as far like the 10 Commandments, or like what is morally right or wrong, to love each other, to not want to do harmful things to each other. That has to be where our principles and our values. Now, an atheist will argue, well, I don't have to believe in God to be moral and a righteous person. But I would ask, okay, where do you draw the line? Because it's very ambiguous. So I hope that answered the question. Yeah, if we're harming other people, I mean, just as a simple principle, if we're harming and hurting other people and that makes us feel content, no, that's not something that, one, I don't believe that that would make people feel content. Um, and that is something that has consequences, spiritual consequences, whether you're a Christian or atheist or an unbeliever. Okay, so we'll go another 25 minutes here. Any other questions or comments or things that you'd like to share that might be helpful for? Looks like we have 6 people. Hey, I'm excited. 6 people. This is my second live stream, and I just want to thank you all for tuning in. Now we got 7 people. I really appreciate you all tuning in, and this is something I just wanted to experiment with and possibly make a regular thing if there's enough interest in it, because it's much more exciting and engaging to communicate with you directly within the chats than just me talking to computer screen making my YouTube uploads. So anything else anyone would like to say? You could throw anything out there. You can give me constructive feedback if you completely disagree with things I'm saying. No problem at all. Yeah, it's like living a content life. Like maybe even that is too much. Uh, Maybe that's even too much of like a expectation or setting ourselves up for disappointment. Like now we're chasing contentment, and oh, I'm not feeling content. Something's wrong. I need to fix that. Like there's plenty of times that I'm just not content, and that's okay. It's like feedback. Like being discontent can give us feedback on areas we need to course correct or we need to smooth out some of our rough edges. And in my opinion, the things now with AI and with screens, I really think that is a huge part. And there's books on this topic. I can't remember. There's one called The Shallows, really good book on like how technology rewires our brain. But there's not a lot of people talk about how technology and screens rewires our spirit. It really does. It does damage us, and it's so addictive. Like I have clients that will want to stop being on their phone so much. I mean, it's gotten to the point where I've recommended some clients to buy one of those boxes. You can buy these boxes on Amazon where you set a timer, you put your phone in there, and you can't have access to it until the timer goes off. But it's not good for our spiritual health, and that's why it's so important. Like, just check how you feel after you spend 2 hours on the phone versus 2 hours in nature, 2 hours on the phone versus 2 hours at the gym, working out, 2 hours on the phone versus or staring at a screen versus 2 hours having a meaningful conversation and connection with someone. 2 hours on the phone in comparison to learning how to play an instrument. It's like when we do hard things, even if we suck at it, like I was doing, it was something simple, just replacing and installing like a shower head filter. So it takes out a lot of the chlorine. And I was installing this filter and it kept on leaking. Like the water would spray out from it. And I'm like, I don't want to be doing this. I have better things that I could do. But I even looked at that as a spiritual or self-help, if you want to call it that, self-development practice. I'm like, why am I feeling this way? I am making this more difficult than it needs to be. I have all these tools out. I have the special tape that they said I'm supposed to apply to the shower head. I was following the instructions, and I'm like, I'm not enjoying this process. And it's taken me a long time to figure out what is wrong. Like there was a couple challenges that I had that it wasn't working right. And so I go, okay, I had to take everything apart, read the instructions again, figure out what's going on. And the instructions said I had to wrap that tape on the shower head, I think 3 to 5 times. And I did that. I followed the instructions, still wasn't working. So I'm monitoring, I'm seeing how I react to something that is frustrating and not enjoyable. And being aware or mindful, the catchphrase, the past 10 years, being mindful, is just being aware of our reaction to what our environment throws at us. And I was like, this is a really good opportunity of developing an area that I'm weak in, and that's patience, especially when it's something I don't enjoy. And so then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use this as a lesson for many other areas of my life. If anything I'm struggling with in my life, it's just sticking to it. And I think I spent like an hour and 15 minutes doing this, and I could have easily quit and just said, you know what? I'm not going to install this stupid shower filter, and it's not necessary. And then my brain would rationalize it. Oh, you don't need it anyways. There's not that much chlorine in the water, and you could drink the water. So how bad it can it be for your skin? Even though your skin is the biggest organ and takes in the most absorbent to all these types of chemicals. But anyways, that's what we do to ourselves. We kind of rationalize when we don't want to do something, we find reasons to support not doing it. And then I finally figured out, no, the instructions were wrong. I needed to wrap the tape around, I probably did it about 10 times. Voila, it fixed it. And it felt so good because I problem solved. I'm not a handy guy. It's a simple job that should not have taken so long, but I just stuck with it and allowed myself to feel the frustration and the discomfort and not needing to give up, to beat myself up, or yeah, to quit, or just to even get, have unpleasant feelings about what's happening. And it's so adventurous and exciting to walk through life like that when you're like, there's a sense of detachment and you're observing yourself, like almost like you're controlling yourself, like you're like kind of like a robot. Or I think what's that movie where they would control, there's one with in the water. I forgot what the name of that movie was. They just came out with, I think 2 years ago, like part 2 of it. And it's so interesting when you observe yourself and you see how you engage with other people. You see when you get frustrated and you're observing with some distance, and then you're going deeper to figure out, why am I reacting like that? And oftentimes it's just that we don't like discomfort. And so we just avoid things. We avoid uncomfortable conversations. We avoid things that challenge ourselves. And we just numb out, whether it's food, shopping, gambling. It's a very passive way to live. And then we can't understand why we don't feel good about who we are. And you can always tell a person that is hardwired a little bit differently. Like they just engage with the world a little bit differently. And there's something very special about them. They're present, they're calm, they're pensive. It's almost like they're not on autopilot. They're conscientious about their reaction and how they engage with other people. And it's very inspirational when I meet people like that. Like meet people that pause before they speak. Like they're really not giving you a conditioned automated response. They're just pausing and reflecting. And they want to give you something that's more authentic, more organic, more real, but requires a bigger shovel and more digging, and it's deeper beneath the surface. I just love that. And just going through life, just slowing down, makes such a huge impact on our relationship to our environment. And it allows us to just tap into that state of flow, or that state of peace, or that state of contentment, because we are in control of how we respond to our world, in our environment, and to other people. I'm watching this YouTube channel where this guy prank calls people, and it is incredible. Like, some of them are really outlandish. Like, he goes through a lot of, it seems like he does prep. Like, he called one woman. He says, "Yeah, hi, this is Roy from the dog park, and we have cameras, and we noticed that you're not cleaning up after your dog." And she's like, "I always pick up after my dog." And the dog goes number two. He says, "No, you're not cleaning up the urine." And it's like, what? And people's reaction, this woman was being particularly nice. Like, she was really frustrated and wanted to lash out. But it's just, you get people screaming at him. And it's just amazing how emotionally dysregulated we are as human beings. Like, we never were taught how to react in a sane way when things don't go our way. Like, road rage is a perfect example of that. Like, we're just so explode and get angry. And you might be a people pleaser, and so you do it in passive aggressive ways, by talking about people behind their back, by not returning their phone calls, by sabotaging, if it's a coworker, things they're doing at work. It's just amazing. Like, what a skill to teach your child emotional regulation, to be present before doing an automated conditioned response. Like, man, that is empowering. If you have that as a skill, then that's worth more than $1 million. That's like a superpower. And just, you don't need to then eat your emotions. You don't need to go on YouTube or go on screens in order to calm your anxiety or calm your nerves. And you can be very honest and raw and organic when talking to people from a very centered, grounded place. And that's a skill set. That's something I really encourage clients. I try to help them with that. Most people don't want to do that because it does require, like going to the gym, it does require work, it does require effort, it does require sacrifice. But things like journaling, things like just spending time in silence and listening to your inner voice, talking less when you're with people, just like being more silent. It's when I'm not good at small talk when I'm meeting new people, and sometimes I'll force it, and I'll just force words to come out of my mouth because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be polite, show the person that I'm friendly. And it's a burden. It's emotional labor. And sometimes, like, I'm getting better at it, sometimes it's just better to be silent and say nothing and let the other person do the heavy lifting if I don't have anything, or you don't have anything authentic or organic to say. It's just a different way to walk through the world. It's lighter, it's more liberating, it's freer. It's like being a ballerina or something, like walking on air. You're you're delicate. I saw another video talking about not being on screens, and I'm telling you all these videos. Hey, I'm not saying I don't watch videos. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not encouraging other people to, but I'm saying have a balanced life, like have other things that give you a solid foundation. And this ballerina, she was walking on, it was like these wine bottles. Like, how do you walk on and putting, her toe on it? And she was standing and going from wine bottle to wine bottle. I'm like, that's incredible. But we have that capability to walk through life, to walk through our social interactions with people, with lighter, more calmer, serene, peaceful energy. Oh, what a skill. What And you know, when you meet people like this, there's just, you feel calm in their presence. And that's something that I always look up to and aspire to as well. Okay, so that was pretty long. Let me see the next comment here. Okay, have you read the slide? I think it's the Slide Edge or the Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. No, I have not read that book. Yeah, if you want to comment on anything you really liked about that book, or like what's the biggest lesson you took away, that'd be appreciated. Do you disagree with any moral declarations in the Bible? If so, then aren't you just selecting the moral values from the Bible that you already agree with? No, I don't. If it's in the Bible, it's coming. For me as a Christian, I know you people are going to disagree with this, and it's hard. I completely get, like, as an unbeliever. When I was an unbeliever, I used to think Christians are nuts. Like, the things they believe are nuts, and how wrong they were, and how self righteous they think they are. And when I used to read books, self-development books, and the moment the author started talking about God or Jesus, I would shut the book. I wouldn't want to read the book. It just repelled me. And I don't know, I say I don't know where that comes from. That comes from Satan. This is Satan's kingdom, and he doesn't want us to have salvation and spend eternity with God in heaven. He wants, this is his world. And so there's a cultural around, like, Christians are the only ones you could really discriminate against. But that's interesting. Like, why is it only Christians? If what is there to fear if what they're saying is not true? So I don't know. That's a whole nother discussion. But if it's written in the Bible, and especially from the New Testament, like the New Covenant. And I'm not an expert in the Bible. I have a lot more to learn and a lot more to grow. But if it's like, it's coming from God, that's the authority. So if it's coming from God, yes, I'm going to believe it. So I'm not picking and choosing. And I don't agree with people that pick and choose what they believe or what they don't believe in the Bible. I mean, that's human. That's our sin nature. Well, this is inconvenient, so I'm going to disregard this. And this is something I agree with. There's something that is not, I don't have to make a lot of sacrifice to do. So I'm going to follow that. That's human nature. And it leads us down a dark path, in my opinion. The Distracted Brain. I haven't read that one. Let me just see if I could find the name of the book, the other book I was talking about. But yeah, I mean, it's like, you read a couple of these books and you get the message that, like, we need to be bored. We need, like, as human beings, our soul, our being craves solitude. Now, most people say, oh, I'm so uncomfortable. I can't stand being alone. That's because you're not at it. And there's so much suppressed emotions that we don't know how to deal with them, because we're like constantly on aspirin, numbing ourselves out. And that has real consequences when we don't spend enough time letting things, uncomfortable things, painful things, bubble to the surface. It's very sad, and we don't know how to deal with it. And we use a lot of ways to cope, which don't work. Short term, they might work, to not numb out, but long term, they just don't work. We got to face our dark side. We got to face our past. We got to make peace. We got to forgive people, if we want to be spiritually at peace. And, I tell this to clients who are not Christians, and it's really difficult for them because they're trying to do this all on their own effort, on their own willpower. And there's just a sin nature in us. There's a dark side. There's a dark fallen state within us that we can't overcome. So many obstacles we struggle with on our own. But thanks for the book recommendation. Vagar? The Distracted Brain. I have heard of that book, but I haven't read that book. The older Harry, the older I get, the more reverence I have for Christianity. Amen to that. And maybe that's just the thing, is that when we are in our 20s, teens, 20s, 30s, I mean, we're chasing men, chasing girls, uh, especially in the 20s, men are trying to make a name for themselves, trying to establish their pecking order on the hierarchy, and trying to be, it could be unconscious, but trying to be successful in order to be attractive to the opposite sex, to attract a mate. And it's, spirituality just takes a back seat. And it's only after, maybe people reach 30s, or you get a lot of the things that you're chasing in life, and you realize how unfulfilling and empty they are, and that they don't fill that void, that deep void that we all have within our hearts and souls, and feeling that sense of purpose. Like my biggest video, my most popular video is Life Sucks. I don't even know how that video is really old. It's over a decade old, if not even more, maybe 15 years. And I still get people commenting on that. And like, most people don't get the meaning of the video, but it's just, life sucks because we're lost. We're really, really lost. And we keep on fooling ourselves into thinking something something external is going to fix us. And then when that doesn't, we just change it to something different, something new. And it's a losing battle, man. It's like I forgot the name of the guy that, I think he's from Greek mythology, or that rolls the big boulder up the hill, only the boulder to roll down, and then they push the boulder back up the hill. It's like that. And then society and culture reinforces it, with music and sports and movies and Netflix. It's all just cotton candy. It's mind rot. Now, I'm not saying not to listen to it or whatever, but like, if that's something that you consume on a regular basis, it just crushes your soul. It just crushes your identity, like all that stuff we're taking in. It's like open season. We're like a sponge. And you listen to some of those lyrics, or some of the messages behind the movies. It's not healthy. And we attract, this could be a whole nother topic for a future live stream, but we attract who we are, the type of person, like in a mate or friends. We attract what we radiate. And so, like, healthy people have healthier relationships. Like broken, dysfunctional people that haven't done this deep inner work, have more dysfunctional, toxic, unhealthy relationships. So it's like we're constantly radiating who we are, what we are, to the world. And it can often attract the wrong type of people, or repel the right type of person. Okay, I think that that's a wrap. Is there got 2 more minutes here? Is there any closing comments before I go? And thanks for hanging in there. I hope you found this helpful. Please feel free to leave any suggestions. Like I said, this is only my second live stream, so I want to get your feedback. And then also, if this is something that you would tune into if I made these more regularly, or if you prefer more of the YouTube style videos. And people who are watching this after it's no longer live, just leave that information in the comments. Okay, I'll just give a moment to let anybody else comment. And if there's no further comments, everybody that's contributed means the world to me. Really, thank you, because this is I've really been missing, is the engagement. And some people are hesitant, like on live streams. I'm not a big person that I don't listen to necessarily smaller channels. Like usually the live streams haven't listened to many, but they tend to be larger channels. So like everybody's participation is really greatly appreciated, and incentivizing to do more of these. And if you have any topics, or you'd like coaching yourself, if you have any topics for the live stream, a future live stream, please feel free to email me or put it in the comments afterwards. And I just want to thank you all for tuning in, and look forward to the next time. And I hope you found this helpful. I'd recommend rewatching this and seeing what resonates with you, and taking some action on it, because it's just not about absorbing the information. The empowerment and the purpose and meaning of life is what we do with what we hear. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Bye-bye.